Hello everyone and welcome to Career Launcher. So in today's class, we are going to discuss about an important topic actually which has been very much in the news in the last few months, and that is Places of Worship Act 1991. So basically this law was actually passed in the year 1991 when the Prime Minister of India was Dr. P.V. Narasimha Rao. So it was passed in the year 1991 and it deals with the laws related with place of worship. Now, place of worship means, I hope you can understand, it means temple, mosque, gurudwara, etc. So this is called as place of worship. So temple, mosque, gurudwara, etc., church. So these are called as places of worship. Now, why it is in the news? First of all, let me show why it is in the news, in which context it is in the news, and then after I will discuss the laws. And actually this has been a challenge in the Supreme Court. So this Places of Worship Act has been challenged in the Supreme Court, and actually it is pending, or the term used is sub judice. Sub judice means the matter is pending in the court. Okay. Now, so first of all, we have to understand why it is in the news. So if you have read the newspaper, if you are reading the newspaper in the last 1 month or 2-3 months, you must have seen this news: 1991 Places of Worship Act, what Supreme Court stopped, why, etc. So this is 13th December 2024 news. So order applies to both pending suits and etc. In its Babri Masjid ruling, Supreme Court said 1991 Act was part of basic structure. This may be relevant as it hears challenge to 1991 law. So basically, when the Supreme Court was giving a judgment on Babri Masjid Ayodhya dispute, which actually came in the year 2019, November 2019, the Supreme Court had said that this law, this Places of Worship Act 1991, is a part of basic structure of the Constitution. Now, I hope you are aware, since we are not discussing here basic structure of the Constitution, but the basic structure of the Constitution is a concept given in Keshav Nanda Bharti case. I am just giving a basic idea about basic structure of Constitution in 1973. And what is basic structure of Constitution? So it means, it says, the idea of basic structure means it cannot be changed even by the constitutional amendment. So if there is something called as basic structure of Constitution, it means that thing cannot be changed even by the parliament. Even by the parliament through constitutional amendment. This is what you have to understand. So this was said in a previous judgment by the Supreme Court of India in 2019 judgment, which was about the judgment regarding Ram Temple and Babri Masjid dispute. Okay, so this is what you should be knowing. Now, you have to understand one thing, that this judgment, this Babri Masjid ruling, is also the official name of this judgment is actually M. Siddiq versus Mahant Suresh Das case. Mahant Suresh Das case of 2019. The final judgment of the Supreme Court regarding Ram Temple and Babri dispute. Okay. So this is actually, I am just currently discussing the context about 1991 Places of Worship Act, that why it is in the news. ठीक है. Now similarly, अगर आपने देखा होगा इस तरह की आर्टिकल आ रही थी, Supreme Court lays down the law, stop all surveys until we decide Places of Worship Act. Okay. Now I hope you are aware, if you are reading the newspaper, I'm sure you must have seen news where actually the local courts or the district level courts have asked for a survey of mosque. For example, in one survey was actually ordered by the lower court in Sambhal, which is in Uttar Pradesh. Then similarly in Ajmer, which you will find it in the state of Rajasthan. the survey was ordered, that inside the it is said that there were like the petitioners were of the opinion that these are the places where previously there was a temple or there are some signs of it. Okay, so what happened was after this, since these things started coming, the Supreme Court passed an order stopping all the surveys currently, saying that first we will decide this, because this has been already challenged. So first we will decide Places of Worship Act, and after that all these surveys will will be resumed or not, depending upon the judgment. Okay, so we will be discussing about this Places of Worship Act in detail. Okay, so let us begin. तो इस आर्टिकल को हम थोड़ा सा पढ़ लेते हैं. We will discuss, let us discuss little bit. So Supreme Court on Thursday barred civil courts across the country from registering fresh suits challenging and the ownership and title of any place of worship order or ordering surveys etc. So Supreme Court ने मना कर दिया था 30 दिसंबर को, ये न्यूज़ आई थी कि no lower courts or a high court or any other court can pass an order currently regarding ordering a survey or of any place of worship or any disputed place of worship unless the Supreme Court finally decides the constitutional validity of Places of Worship Act 1991. Okay, तो जब तक सुप्रीम कोर्ट इसको डिसाइड नहीं करे. सो एक्चुअली देयर आर 6 petitions have been filed in the Supreme Court in this regard challenging this Places of Worship Act. So 6 petition फाइल किया गया है. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैलिडिटी को क्वेश्चन किया गया है कि ये Places of Worship Act. So those who have filed a petition, they have said that Places of Worship Act 1991 is unconstitutional. So अभी जो है जैसा CJI साहब ने कहा, जस्टिस संजीव खन्ना said as the matter is sub judice before the court. Sub judice means it is pending in the court, and that is why pending in the Supreme Court we deem it appropriate that no fresh suits should be filed and no the lower courts in India should not pass any order for surveys etc. unless we decide this. ठीक है, जब तक हम डिसाइड नहीं कर लेते कोई किसी भी जगह कोई भी प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप में कोई सर्वे नहीं होगा. ओके, सो दैट इज व्हाट इट वाज इन द न्यूज़. तो भाई अभी मैंने आपको एक बैकग्राउंड बताया है कि व्हाई प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट हैज बीन वेरी मच इन द न्यूज़. ओके, है ना. तो लाइक वी हैव सीन, वही एग्जांपल बता रहे हैं, जैसे एक ज्ञानवापी मॉस्क डिस्प्यूट है इन वाराणसी, सिमिलरली शाही ईदगाह इन मथुरा, देन जामा मस्जिद इन संभल, दिस वाज वेरी मच इन द न्यूज़. सो दीज आर एक्चुअली द थिंग्स. सो जो नेक्स्ट हियरिंग है वो 17 फरवरी 2025 को होगी. So whenever there'll be a hearing, this topic becomes even more important. Okay. Now, तो अभी हम लोग जो डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, we are discussing about this Places of Worship Act. It was brought in 1991 during when Prime Minister was Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao was the Prime Minister of India. Okay. So what exactly it is? इसको डिस्कस करने से पहले थोड़ा सा हम लोग जो जजमेंट है इसको जान लेते हैं. राम जन्मभूमि बाबरी मस्जिद जजमेंट. ओके, ठीक है. तो इसको ओके, लेट मी फर्स्ट डिस्कस दिस ओनली. तो मैं प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट ही पहले बता देता हूं. सो लेट मी फर्स्ट डिस्कस द प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट. सो द प्लेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट सेट्स दिस अ कट ऑफ डेट 15 अगस्त 1947. सो इट सेज कि 15 अगस्त 1947 actually is the date of independence. So before 15th August 1947, if there was any place of worship which was converted from X to Y, Y to Z, that will not be actually restored. But if anything happens after this, then it should be restored to the original status. Okay. मतलब ये कि फॉर एग्जाम्पल 15 अगस्त 1947 से पहले इफ एनी टेम्पल वॉज कन्वर्टेड इनटू मॉस्क, then the law says prohibits that since it had happened before the independence, if any temple has been converted into mosque, the mosque should not be converted back into the temple according to this law. मतलब जो जब इससे पहले नहीं 15 अगस्त 1947 से पहले कोई भी चीज पहले हुई है, यानी कोई किसी एक प्लेस ऑफ वर्शिप को किसी और प्लेस ऑफ वर्शिप में चेंज किया गया है, तो उसको रिवर्स नहीं किया जाएगा. बट इफ इट हैज हैपेंड समथिंग आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस, देन इट कैन बी रेस्टोर्ड टू द ओरिजिनल स्टेटस. ओके, अगर इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद मान लो कोई मॉस्क को टेम्पल बनाया गया, टेम्पल को मॉस्क बनाया गया, समथिंग लाइक दैट, देन इट शुड बी रिस्टोर्ड बैक. So this is actually the idea of Places of Worship Act. Okay, prohibits conversion of any place of worship and provides for maintenance of religious character of any place of worship as it existed on 15th August. यानी अगर 15 अगस्त को कोई मॉस्क है तो मॉस्क ही रहेगा, टेम्पल है तो टेम्पल रहेगा, गुरुद्वारा है तो गुरुद्वारा रहेगा. We will not go behind that, before that. यानी 15th अगस्त 1947 के पीछे जाके नहीं देखेंगे कि वो टेम्पल से पहले मॉस्क था या मॉस्क से पहले टेम्पल था या गुरुद्वारा था, like that. So that is what, this is the cut-off date set by the Places of Worship Act 1991. However, this Places of Worship Act gave one exception. उसी Place of Worship Act में exception लिखा हुआ था, and that exception is actually what? What is that exception? The exception is कि राम टेम्पल डिस्प्यूट. So उसमें लिखा हुआ था ये. So it was written actually in the same law that the Ram temple dispute is outside the purview of this law. Okay, that is what you should be knowing about. Okay, so I hope things are very much clear in the slide because I've explained it in a very simple and lucid way. Okay, so let's move on. So let's discuss about further है ना. तो Places of Worship Act, Special Provision Act. So when this actually judgment, when the Ayodhya judgment came or Ram temple judgment came in 2019, the Supreme Court cited the Places of Worship Act, and the Supreme Court said at that time, and the Supreme Court made it clear that Ayodhya judgment will not act as a precedent to justify communal mobilization against Places of Worship Act, etc. तो Supreme Court में यहाँ पे लिखा होगा है ना. Subsection 5 of the Places of Worship Act clearly exempts place of worship commonly known as राम जन्मभूमि बाबरी मस्जिद डिस्प्यूट. तो ये मैंने बोला कि प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट जो है वो 15 अगस्त 1947 के बाद कोई भी इंसिडेंट हुआ, मींस लाइक बिफोर 15 अगस्त 1947 if any temple was converted to mosque or vice versa, or any one religious place was converted into any other religious place, that should not be restored back. But there was one exception that is mentioned in section 5, and that is about राम टेम्पल डिस्प्यूट एंड ऑल. तो मतलब उसमें एक एक्सेप्शन दिया था कि ये इसमें कवर नहीं होता है, एंड दैट इज व्हाई व्हेन सुप्रीम कोर्ट पास्ड एन ऑर्डर इन 2019, सुप्रीम कोर्ट cited this also. Okay, nothing contained in this act shall apply to the place or places of worship commonly known as Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid dispute and all situated in Ayodhya. And that is why when Supreme Court passed an order, it said that the Ram temple should be built at that place, and the Babri Masjid or a mosque will be, they allowed the mosque to be built at some other places. So the Supreme Court passed an order that the land should be given for the mosque at some other place. ठीक है, so that was the case. तो ये है अयोध्या टाइटल डिस्प्यूट, एम सिद्दीक वर्सेस महान सुरेश दास केस. Okay, so these were the 5 judges who passed an order in M. Siddiq versus Mahan Suresh Das case, famously known as अयोध्या राम टेम्पल डिस्प्यूट. दूसरी बात है कि इसी केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट एक आता है, जैसे कि हमने आपको डिस्कस किया, दैट सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेड दैट प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट इज एक्चुअली द बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. इस पास्ट जजमेंट में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने इसी केस में कहा था, वी हैव जस्ट डिस्कस इट 5 minutes बैक, है ना. So in Babri Masjid ruling, the Supreme Court said this 1991 Places of Worship Act is the part of basic structure of constitution. Okay, now let's move on further. So let's discuss, this is the state of UP, and here you will find Ayodhya, city of Ayodhya, and it is on the bank of Sarju river. Okay, and आप देख सकते हो यहाँ पर है, I've zoomed it further. तो ये अगर UP है, this is other UP, so here you will find this Ayodhya. Okay, हाँ. So the Hindu Ram temple is there, है ना, in Ayodhya, and it was inaugurated, or the Pran Pratishtha was done on 22nd January 2024. So this you should be knowing. And who is the architect? So since we are discussing it, so we'll discuss a little bit about that. That this Ram temple is built on Nagara style. So there are different, there are 3 prominent styles of temple building: Nagara style, Vesara style, and Dravidian style. So you should know that this Ram temple is built on Nagara style, and the main architect of the temple is Mr. Chandrakant Sompura. तो ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि इस टेम्पल के मेन आर्किटेक्ट कौन है. ओके, नाउ and there was a Ram Lalla sculpture, or the idol of Ram Lalla, and this was who was the sculpture behind it. So the person is Mr. Arun Yogiraj. ये नाम भी याद होना चाहिए. This you should be knowing about. Now let's get back to Places of Worship Act again. So we are discussing it, चूंकि ये अभी न्यूज में आया था, that Supreme Court halts temple beneath mosque surveys and all. मतलब बहुत जगह and there are a lot of places where the lower court had ordered in different mosques that the survey should be done whether there are some remains of temple or not. So finally the Supreme Court has halted, and Supreme Court said unless we decide the Places of Worship Act, no survey should be done. Okay, तो इसमें जैसे बहुत सारे न्यूज़ था, जैसे अभी संभल मॉस्क में था एक, then we had seen in Ajmer Sharif. Ajmer Sharif is actually the dargah. Dargah means tomb of Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti. So this is a tomb where some people go and like worship and all. So there are actually the petitioners say that perhaps there was some there are some signs of temples earlier. Then similarly there is Adhai Din Ka Jhopda, you will find it in Rajasthan, that it was also earlier a temple or something like that. So this was actually, these are some of the recent examples and all. So in some cases the Ajmer court, यहाँ लिखा ना जैसे Sambhal court and Ajmer court, actually they passed an order that there should be a survey that needs to be conducted. So it was all these surveys were actually stayed by the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court said we will first decide the Places of Worship Act. Okay, तो जैसे अगर आप देखोगे, so here is Delhi. So first of all let me show. So this is Delhi, this is the state of Uttar Pradesh, and here is Sambhal, where this was in the news. Then next is, here is Delhi, this is the state of Rajasthan, and here is Ajmer, this is Ajmer. Okay, this is the place where you will find this, the Dargah of Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti. Dargah means tomb of Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti. Okay. So this was also in the news. I saw today that PM Modi to send a chadar to Ajmer Dargah. Na देखो ये Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti Dargah was there. So Dargah means this is where he is buried, Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti. Okay, so that is what you should be knowing about it. Now जैसे कि हम लोग डिस्कस कर रहे थे प्लेसेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट के बारे में, सो वी आर डिस्कसिंग दिस कि ये कट ऑफ डेट है 15 अगस्त 1947. So why this cutoff date? So those who support the Places of Worship Act, they say that we are stopping this, we are prohibiting, because in the past many things have happened. So those who support this, they say कि past में बहुत सारे incidents हुए हैं where actually one thing was converted to another, मतलब temple was converted into mosque, mosque was converted into temple, like I mean, it's like from one place to one religious place to another religious place. I mean बहुत सारी चीजें हुई होंगी. Many people can claim कि एक बार एक्स रिलीजन का था, फिर वाई रिलीजन का हुआ, फिर जेड रिलीजन का हुआ, पी रिलीजन का हुआ, क्यू रिलीजन का. सो दैट इज वाई दोज हु सपोर्ट द प्लेस ऑफ वर्शिप एक्ट, दे से दैट वी हैव टू ड्रॉ अ लाइन so that there should not be further dispute, and that is why 15th August 1947 is made, that if anything has happened before that, we will not undo it, we will not change the status. So whatever was the status on 15th August will remain till after that. So we should not be going in that कि whether no one should claim that this mosque was earlier a temple or vice versa or something like that. So that is what the idea is. But if let's say if a temple has been converted into mosque or vice versa after 15th August, then it should be restored back. That is what this Place of Worship Act says. Now those who oppose it, they say that no, since there are a lot of incidents where actually a lot of rulers who came from outside, they came and they converted the earlier religious places into other people of other religion, like the temples were converted into mosque, etc. and all, and that is why they want that all the previous whatever the previous things have happened, which it should be returned back, or it should be what we call it as changed to original status or something like that. So these are actually the disputing sides. So let us see what the court will decide, but we have discussed the concept of Places of Worship Act. Okay, so that is what you should be knowing. So ye bhi, those who are petitioners who have challenged this Places of Worship Act are Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, former leader, former Rajya Sabha MP and leader of BJP, and there are others. I think 6 petitions have been filed. Okay, so that is what you should be knowing about. Now, there are a lot of things which is being said about it, why there is a Place of Worship Act and all. Other than that, the most important thing from the point of view of like as a citizen of India, it is the fundamental duty of each and everyone to ensure that there should be harmony, there should be spirit of common brotherhood, there should not be conflict, transcending religious, linguistic and regional lines. Means we should not, as a citizen of India, we should not dispute or start fighting on the basis of religion, language or region or something like that, because this is the fundamental duty of each and every citizen. And in fact, 2 years back also and recently also, the RSS chief had also discussed this. Perhaps he was referring to the idea of no need to look for shivlings in every mosque. Means perhaps he was actually favoring the idea of Places of Worship Act, that we should not go. There is one incident of Ram temple, and after that we should not talk about this, because this was very much in the news and all. So that is what we should be discussing. Okay, so I think I have explained both the aspects of Places of Worship Act, and currently actually it is a sub judice. Sub judice means it is pending in the court. So let us wait for the Supreme Court judgment, and after that we will discuss further. So this is all about today's class. Thank you everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.